5 and 4, 3.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? How you doing, Kush?
What's good, Kai?
You know, I got to say, what if you made
from the BosNet family?
Comfort Island. Fuck that. And it didn't come off how you thought it was going to come off. But then you're like, fuck that. We're going back. Run it back because Geena Davis is an action hero. What if I told that to you? What would you say?
I say, when do we start?
Yeah. Long Kiss Goodnight. Do you remember the first time you saw this?
1996 is the Long Kiss Goodnight. I would order this on Viewer's Choice pay-per-view.
Oh, what? Fancy pants.
Even recorded it on VHS and then showed it to all my friends. I was like, you gotta see Geena ass kicking some fucking ass in this movie, guy.
Kush, you gotta slow down. You just hit a bunch of things here. You ordered it. For our younger listeners, can you describe the steps taken to do that at this time? This is key here.
1996. So I don't think we have digital cable yet, or we're like, if we just got it possibly. So
yeah.
Having said that, if this is just analog cable, you had to call an 800 number within 30 minutes of the movie's showtime. And by the way, it's not on demand. It's like this movie's gonna play at 2, 5, 7, 9:30.
Are you sitting down? Did you get the pie in the oven? Because this show is gonna start.
You would then call a number and it would say, you just made your order for the Long Kiss Goodnight. That'll be on channel 1. You can hang up now. It'll be billed to your account. Click. And then
who else? Who was in the room?
Like the channel would unscramble, and you'd see previews for other pay-per-view movies, and then the movie would start. And again, there's no start, there's no pause, there's no fast forward or rewind. This is it. You're in it, and you better have that shit recorded.
It was more, Kush, in a way more exciting because it's like we're doing the ritual, we're doing the thing, and it's like, can you pause it? I'm gonna get some Pringles. Like, sit down. You're gonna miss it. You're going to miss it.
You better be in this room at 5:01 and not a minute
You're
later.
committed. You're committed. You're gonna you're gonna miss out. So yeah, those used to matter. And commercials too, everybody. Like, yeah, they may just be annoying on Hulu now, but at the time it's like okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You're gonna smoke a butt, grab some cocktail weenies. We'll be back in 30 or 2 and 2, however you wanted to break that down.
2 and 2.
But no, those were the days. No, I saw this strictly on the movie store rental. That was that's how it came by my eyes. But I wish I had seen it on the big screen. But no, I've been a fan of this movie for a hot minute here. Like, first time I saw it, enjoyed it, was like in, and I mean, even just remembering vague bits that I saw more than 10 years ago are still delighting me. So yeah, there's parts of this movie that that stay with you. Samuel L. Jackson helps in his continued career, and then Brian Cox too, making an indelible mark for all of our streaming services.
Sam Jackson just 3 years after Pulp Fiction, so he is riding this tsunami of success going into this movie. So let's talk a little bit about some making of this. This is a Shane Black film, or at least a written movie. Okay, Shane Black, he's done the original Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, the Iron Man 3. All these movies take place at Christmas. That's his
Iron Man's.
Yeah, the Last Boy Scout, fantastic fucking film. All of them take place at Christmas. So
wait, can I also Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Predator, and The Nice Guys? I mean,
Predator's the only one not at Christmas. Nice Guys is fantastic. We've brought that up a few times.
Nice Guys, underrated. Nice Guys.
Very underrated. So Shane Black wrote this script. He was actually the first Hollywood writer to collect $4 million for a script. And then, such as society is, people shamed him for being successful and called him a commercialist and all. And he went like, fine, I will never make another blockbuster movie after this. And for a while, he didn't.
Don't let them hurt you, Shane. Don't let them hurt you. That's mean. Why would they do that?
He got this in front of Renny Harlin. And he was like, yo, I wrote this specifically for you to direct, specifically for Geena Davis to star in, and blah 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 blah. And Cutthroat Island has not even started filming production yet, so that's already one hurdle. He's like, we're definitely doing this. We got to do this pirate movie, and then we're going to come back to it, and we're going to kick all sorts of ass. And Renny Harlin's
Hold
like,
up, y'all. There's a pirate
Shane
movie.
Black's like, yes. They were already contractually committed to Cutthroat Island.
Yeah.
Cutthroat Island becomes the huge bomb that is, yet somehow is still undershadowed by Waterworld, despite that actually made money, even if it was still a bomb. Anyways,
right.
The Long Kiss Goodnight comes out, and it is a financial bomb to the point where even Shane Black is going like, well, damn. Cutthroat Island really kind of fucked us on that one. Otherwise, I think this would have been a way better movie.
The numbers I think were on Cutthroat Island. It was 90 million production, which was just like base production, and then it brought in 10 domestically, which is tough. And Long Kiss Goodnight did a little better, but
only a little bit better. Smaller budget, $65 million.
65. I know, 65. Kush. I mean, just a tiny, small budget for that era. That's still a lot of money.
No, that's still big blockbuster numbers, but it's still a deficit numbers from 90. It's still a deficit from 90, but it would only bring in 33 domestically. 56 internationally for a total of less than 90 million worldwide.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah. I mean, Renny tried so hard. He did.
I would say that comparatively to the two, I think this is a better structured film than Cutthroat Island, but I think Cutthroat Island actually had like better stunts and bigger bombastic explosions.
Oh yeah, there were I mean, them shooting like on location for some of these things and then dressing everything, like it's, as we said, it's like, this is gorgeous. Like, look at this stuff. Like they really went in to set scene and setting there. But just Renny luckily developed a relationship with Samuel L. Jackson, because Deep Blue Sea came out just a few years after that, which that's fantastic. I am glad he's in that. I was just going through his like IMDb, and it was like, well, he did some TV directing in the mid 2000s, 2012 there, and then he's filming some stuff, but like, I don't know, he hasn't been on the big movie release train here.
Despite the fact that Deep Blue Sea was a box office success, a critical and box office success, he's been in TV land for a while. Maybe he's enjoying that. Maybe that's a better pace for him.
Dig. No, a lot of our favorites. I mean, you dip into the TV thing. I mean, after Long Kiss Goodnight, 96. Okay, Blast from the Past. I don't know what that is. Driven.
That's a Brendan Fraser film where he's raised by Christopher Walken, and I forget who the mom is, but they're in a bomb shelter for like 20 years.
That's right. Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, he was a producer on that. He was not the director.
Okay. It's a weird movie. I don't believe I even saw it, but I remember that being a success. So good for him, I think.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And
then, do I want to talk about this movie, Kai? I think we've talked enough about the behind the scenes for this moment.
I know I went directly sideways because I would get excited about Renny Harlin and Shane Black. But coming off of Cutthroat Island, which we both saw things that we liked about it. But I think the consensus overall was like kind of long and one directional, and it didn't. I don't know. I mean, it's cool, but it's not great.
It was definitely long. It could have been trimmed down, and we had some scenes that just went like, "Oh, I thought we just did that already."
So
let's talk about the beginning. Long Kiss Goodnight.
This was in a series in the 2000s, some of the 90s. There's an assassin with amnesia. But this was one of the earlier ones. Like, this is several years before
Bourne.
Predates Bourne. They hadn't even done Good Will Hunting yet.
Okay.
So yeah, this is first sort of on the scene. There's a bunch of tropes in here about assassins and secret agents and what have you. But yeah, Geena Davis plays Samantha, who's the docile housewife type. But then
Mhm.
the alter ego is Charlie, who is one of the craziest, deadliest secret agent people we've ever seen on screen. Like, just ridiculous. Like, and it's not just that they're like, oh no, they can plan a shot. It's just sort of the dogged determination. If they would want to kill you, they will figure it out. Like that, that is baked into this character. And she definitely owns a place in this. Samuel L. Jackson, in an interview about this movie and largely about, you know, him coming up, he was like, this movie was ahead of its time. Women wanted to see her being a badass, and that's why it took up a cult following. But he was like, a lot of movies copied this, but this movie was so great because Geena Davis was just fantastic. And I'm like,
she throws herself into it all the way. Like, she does not hold back. She takes, I have a feeling she took a couple of those punches too. By the way, obviously the spy gets amnesia due to like massive head trauma from a bullet wound, but this chick is collecting concussions like Pokemon.
The roughest possible, like flung into doors and railings. Like it's everything. Knives, car accidents. Like you can't come up with a bigger list of like, oh, there was an explosion behind you. That is exactly what they're doing here. But yeah, they really play it to the hilt. Do you feel the same? Like there's a self-awareness about like, we're going bombastic here. Do you know what I mean? Like this is going to be outspoken. But we join up right in the beginning of, I think it's Honesdale, New Jersey. And it's sort of
somewhere in the
where they
tri-state.
start. No, they're painting like it's this bucolic suburban life, and
it looks like it's starting off like a Hallmark movie.
Exactly.
Very or the soft and fluffy.
Remember Gremlins? Like how the town was sort of sweet, and it's like, oh yeah, that's great. And they layer in like, yeah, since you forgot, Mama, and and then somebody says amnesia, but she's a teacher. People think she's hot, which they really kind of. Kush, doesn't this seem like it's sort of falling out? They lean on like she's hot, like on different levels. There's other parents and then children, and it's just
she's involved in the Christmas parade where she's playing Mrs. Claus, and they're like, check out Mrs.
Claus. The nightly news comments about this bombshell, and you're like, this was obviously a plot device because somebody in prison sees it, which we'll get to, but it is very sexual centric in that way. You're like, yeah, everybody thinks she's hot, and you're like, for the time, you're like, yeah, cool. Like this is an extension of Tom and Jerry declaring something hot, but they jump through that. And remember the fat kid that was trying to steal cigarettes? He's wearing a leather jacket. This was another like stereotype that I get, not stereotype, but whatever that was, like that used to exist. And this feels like it's the last legs of it, but you're like, oh no, I recognize this. Yeah. There's a fat kid and he wants to smoke. That's his game. Sorry. So when somebody does bring up that she has amnesia, she addresses it and goes into like, oh yeah, no, I used to hire expensive private eyes to try and figure it out, but now she says she's down to the cheap ones.
Is that Do you remember what just ran out of money, or she just like, these guys aren't doing it, maybe this guy could just keep shuffling around or whatever?
Yeah, no, I would assume where it's just like you spend enough time, nothing turns up. So if you're still interested, you throw it in. But no, it's I was going to say it's the perfect segue into Samuel Jackson's first scene where it's like, well, now I hire cheap ones. So he comes in dressed like Inspector Clouseau, and he's like, don't make any assumptions. When you do that, you make an ass out of you and umption. And he orders one of his buddies to read them the Miranda rights, but the guy can't. He just can't get through it, and the other guy just throws up. It's just.
Turns out it's not even friends of his. He hired hobos because it was last month.
It's the best sort of like, this was the simplest fucking thing and they fuck it up. Anyway, yeah, the guy vomiting, and yeah, the prostitute or the sex worker is just like, you gotta stop using bumps. This is not the first time this specifically has happened,
No,
which
it is
is
not.
I mean, that is delightful. But yeah, he's a PI, he's running a hustle, and he just happens to be working on the Samantha case. And then gosh, they cut from there to like Samantha is driving drunk Uncle Earl home. And he takes the chance to kind of sexually assault her because he was doing a pantomime with the finger in the hole, and then he reaches over like he's doing a sober test and grabs her boob. Like,
which she freaks out, and then all of a sudden they hit a deer. Which, by the way, the deer starts kicking through the windshield and is just like beating the shit out of Uncle Earl and fucking up Samantha at the same time till they hit a tree. And
hit a tree.
Everyone to go flying.
Wait, Samantha goes, and then Earl just burns to death in the car. He stays in the car. Yeah.
He had a seatbelt.
No,
the
car lights up. It's just seatbelts kill everybody. That's what we're trying to say.
That they never addressed that. Like poor Uncle Earl.
Yeah, no one there. I don't remember a funeral in there. Not another word was said about it. We just move right on. Yeah, the sexual assault thing is like, okay, well, that happened.
That's Uncle Earl.
That's Uncle Earl. And that's how One-Eyed Jack became One-Eyed Jack too.
Yeah, One-Eyed Jack was trying to assault her, rape her on the cliffs. Because that's where you get your best raping in, Kai.
They flashed like right back to that for the thing. But yeah, she again, it is not how skilled she is. It is the determination to not die and then come back and stab you. That is terrifying. I mean, you don't need to believe in ghosts, but like, oh no, you're haunted by this one woman. It's like, this is a problem. This is not something you want to be. You're waiting at a bus stop for somebody to come just stab you. This is this lady.
Yeah, by the way, the One-Eyed Jack, is he supposed to be injecting her with something? Somehow a syringe gets involved and she stabs him right in the eyeball. And he's in a lot of pain, but I say he handles it pretty cool. Like he's still able to like fire a weapon.
Kush, how chill would you be if you got stabbed in the eyeball?
I would not be chill at all. I'd be.
I think
I'd be doing a lot of writhing in pain on the floor.
I don't think you could maintain a level of chill if you got stabbed in the eyeball. That sounds like a problem.
That would definitely be a problem. Yeah, he still gets a headshot in on her, which is pretty incredible.
Well, and also with all the there's headshots and also head trauma. This movie kind of like subscribes to the Gilligan's Island model of amnesia, wherein if getting hit on the head with a coconut like gave him amnesia, another hit can cure it. And it's sort of, we're within kind of those bounds in this movie.
It's amazing with all the head trauma she does sustain in this film that she didn't develop 2 or 3 more personalities, honestly.
Right. And she's not cured. It doesn't open all the doors. It's just sort of like, that's when they start to remember. It's like, and you get the flashbacks. There's skating and a child and all of the details. Anyway, we jump into the New Jersey Correctional Facility and it's lit up outside. Like the Luftwaffe is about to show up. Like, they have such weird lighting on that. People are patrolling with rifles on that side of it. It's kind of intense. It looks like sort of like Arkham Asylum. You know what I mean? With the searchlights. Like it's just Joker. Yeah. Riddler's gonna bust out of here tonight. Anyway, inside the newscaster is like, oh, Honesdale Xmas parade. One look at Mrs. Claus, and I'd say Santa really got what he wanted this year. And he recognizes her on the TV. Gosh, everybody's really rapey in this. That is just... Anyway.
So he busts out of jail and ends up hijacking a group of Christmas carolers to start singing in front of her house, which is wild. It's
Good on you, sir. You really dialed into that one.
Yeah. He's got
Oh
a
boy.
combination shotgun slash rocket launcher gimmick.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was even a thing, but apparently it is. And he runs out of ammo really quickly. One, he shoots off a grenade, and that blows a
Hmm.
hole in the side of the wall, and somehow does
Yeah.
not vaporize little girl.
Grenades do wildly different things in this
They definitely
movie.
do.
There's a couple of scenes where the physics do not agree on which they had introduced before. Yeah, I swear to God, there's that scene when they're escaping
The hallway.
the train station, the hallway,
Oh, the
where
train
they're
station.
running and
Yes.
they jump at, but the grenade goes off and it looks like an incendiary bomb that was dropped off the back of like a B2, like it's filled with petrol, like
Yeah.
flames are shooting out. I'm like, that's not how a grenade, like it lights up the top 3/4 of the building. Like, that's not how a
And just
grenade works, but yeah.
Pushes fire down,
Yeah,
down that
fire,
incredibly
yeah.
flammable hallway.
Yeah, exactly. Everything lights up, flame shoots out. You're like, I don't know what that is. Grenades different. So I interrupt you. I'm sorry. Grenades, yes.
Oh. They get into a little scuffle in the kitchen, and then Geena Davis finally just pie faces him literally to the point where pushes his nose into his brain, but not all the way. He's still kind of twitchy, and then she just gives him the donkey punch.
Yeah.
And that shit was pretty intense to the point where like even boyfriend's just like, I'm a little more nervous about you than this dead guy on my floor now.
Dang. They do the first like Samantha has a vision of Charlie thing in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So she's looking in and like urges her to smoke. You know what I mean? Like that's just one of those obvious choices. Like, come on, take it. But it is sort of like at the time, it did feel like there were a number of anti-smoking campaigns on TV. And it sort of looked like that. It is like, you're evil, Charlie, smoke. It was pretty, that's how tightly they're drawing it. But we cut from that to another super depressing scene where Sam Jackson's kid cannot accept gifts from them, which is really just,
it's
was
a fucked
hard.
up scene.
That sucked. That really sucked.
No, that's the other way around. His kid cannot accept a gift from him because Sam Jackson's a shit.
That's roughly what I said. But Mama thinks they're all stolen, which sucks because that's bad. But we go to a really amazing scene, which was in the trailer. The sax solo under the vegetable cutting montage is pretty amazing. That is awesome.
It's a fun scene where she all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I can just start chopping carrots."
Yeah. We have also coming up right here, the bad guys Chekhov phrase that will definitely come up later, which the bad guy, what's his name? You know, I can tell when people are lying, right?
Okay,
that guy,
the smarmy guy. I
think
his name is Trevor.
I forget the actor's name. I'm real sorry, but that line, as soon as he brings it up, like you're like, okay, they're gonna bring this one back up. But
Trevor has a very funny line where they like, yo, one-eyed Jack just escaped prison. He saw something on TV that really spooked him out, and he. Even in 1996, this is already an outdated reference.
Yes.
He's like, "It's called Baywatch Nights. I saw it myself."
Yeah.
And it's like
he referenced Baywatch Nights. Which again, Kush, have you gone back and watched Baywatch Nights?
I never even really saw Baywatch Prime. Like I was familiar with it. It was always on, so you would catch scenes. But I don't think I've ever sat through a full episode. Like I was like, I get it, but I can see Pam
my
Anderson
favorite
in Playboy.
Yeah, for Baywatch for sure. And there was a lot of others that you're like up and comers, fantastic. But Baywatch Nights, there was a couple episodes that were like, well, they were trying to focus on like it's like CSI nights. It's the same thing. And so they're not at the beach, it's at night. So you're like, those are the main two things that you need to be a lifeguard. But they were in Northern California, probably near Sutter's Mill. There was a legend of a giant gold bar that was found there. And what had happened that it was at a mystery house. So a ghost was hiding it. And then when somebody found it, the ghost was represented by a little person who was warning them not to take it. But then a scoundrel took it and went down the river, and they were never seen again. So
is this the plot to Leprechaun?
yeah. But no, this is Baywatch Nights. This is David Hasselhoff. It is this guy. He goes and talks to the little person. That happened. And I wish everyone would watch it because it's so perfect to describe what that was. But yeah, I am glad it is referenced. Anyway, her kid. This is jarring to me for this, but I guess they needed to do it. Geena Davis's kid falls while ice skating, and then Charlie pops out and goes like, "Life is pain." Like, oh, thanks, Mom. My knee hurts, and it's like, get used to it. Life is, and you're like, oh, that sucks.
To be fair, that kid's being a little bitch. It's just ice skates. Come on, kid. And then she broke her wrist on top of that. It's like, come on, get over yourself.
It's just, kid, get the fuck over that. All right, it's not that bad. It's like, my hand hurts. I can't stand up. But that is we did get a Dread Pirate Roberts in there where life is pain. That is something that those two characters share.
The stop being a baby monologue will come back later it'll be called back to later in the big climax where the little girl is now trying to revive a quadruple concussed Geena Davis, like, get up, stop being a baby.
And it was later revealed the wrist was actually broken. That was confirmed in the movie. Okay.
Let's see. Hennessy shows up right at the end there, and at first the cops almost kill him, but little girl saves his life. And then they just magically get on the road. Again, there's a dead man in Geena Davis's kitchen, but the cops are like, yeah, don't worry. don't even worry about leaving town. Maybe you should get out of town.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It turns out that Geena Davis's former life, she left all of her possessions behind, and the landlady liked her so much she couldn't throw them out. And once that woman died, her deadbeat son found Geena Davis's credit card, got arrested, and that's how Mitch Hennessy got all of her belongings, which so far just looks like a suitcase and just some clothes and a picture and a book. Nothing of note until later when we find out there's a false bottom.
It's a visual escape room, Kush. What we're dealing with. All these clues fit together, but in what order? But exactly, there's a false bottom. And well, wait, Samuel Jackson Hennessy, great name. He shows up about that past because those details were dropped off. But that is sort of like Act 1 of the movie. Is sort of like that's the all right. That we got all the people. She's got amnesia. He's a private eye that's willing to bend the rules. But we go to then we introduce. This is his first minutes. Brian Cox, who I love this man. I was poorly trying to quote his soliloquy about his and his wife's dog licking his own butt
at the dinner table, by the way. Like Brian Cox is trying to enjoy his stew, and sure enough,
that dog and my appetite are mutually exclusive. It's been licking its ass for 3 hours, and I would submit to you that whatever it's licking has been dislodged or is there to stay. I one of my favorites.
It's a good line.
He's fantastic. And also I noted this before, but him in that sort of authoritarian role, but just as an overseer kind of person, like this lines up perfectly with Super Troopers. Like this is almost the same character. I mean, it just the bombast and the emphasis. But have you been in on Secession at all?
I have not. That's a TV series, right? With one of the
Exactly.
Culkin
And
kids.
Brian, the Culkin is amazing. They're all great. And God,
Nice.
Brian Cox is just hitting home runs with this shit. I mean, it's
Okay.
fantastic. Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
wait a minute.
back to Brian Cox.
Where we go? Yeah, Brian Cox.
Yeah.
He's
So
awesome.
somehow they get his phone number and they call him up while the dog is eating its asshole. And he's like, "Is that really you, Charlie?" He's like, "Say my full name." And he's like, "You don't remember your name." And they agreed to meet up at the train station, and chaos ensues.
Okay,
Like
so
multiple people get deaded in this.
Spoilers. Multiple people get deaded, but this is an agency that is subsourced by the government that is part of this. Like, they run arms, they do whatever, but they don't want their connection with like, oh no, we're with the DOJ or whatever. They don't want that out there. But for a group that does that, they are just murdering civilians in a train station.
Here's the thing that we find out.
If this happened now, we would have to bomb another country. This is an attack. If this was like,
get into that.
No, if this was like Zimbabwe says fuck you, and it would be like, we would have to do some shit. Kush, like 20, how many people do you think? 20, 30?
Oh, at least 15 people get shot.
Okay,
in that train station.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of bodies.
It is. Yes, it is.
It's a lot.
I'm not disputing that. So we find out in a cut scene that things are going so great in the United States that the president has cut the security budget by a third, by a quarter, who knows how much. But
that's a lot.
The budget has been cut so much that the CIA is going like, what if we recruit those bad guys we were chasing? Like, they're going to only cost us like a fraction of the price, And then, by the way, now we'll be plugged into what the bad guys do, so we'll know what all the bad guy shit is up to. Like on paper, it makes sense, but we'll get a little deeper into that later. But train station gets shot up. The train station gets blowed up, and
again,
Brian
a grenade
Cox saves everybody.
A grenade. A fragmentation grenade, it apparently is able to light up 20 yards of hallway for a stunning explosion and flame out the window. They were running from fire, a action movie trope, but this was on the early end of, some of that in the 90s, run and dive, even though it was established, but they really lodged it right there.
It's one of those great scenes too, where like, they're running from the gunfire. They're in the hallway. They're about to like find the stairwell or a fire escape or something. And then all of a sudden they see the grenade. And then the camera just lingers on the grenade as it spins. And then Sam just goes, "Run, bitch." And then they start running.
Yeah.
And then they stop. And then they're like, "There's no way out." But then they start running again. And then it explodes. Like, a good 15 seconds has passed 3 times, 5 times the normal length of a grenade. Of course. From what basic Hollywood has taught us.
Yeah. Okay. So wait. So you said, that happens. The other thing, Brian Cox shows up on the highway. He explains everything, and then they steal his car. And
because they're at this point, they're like, how can we trust Brian Cox? I mean,
right. Why would you? No, I get it. However, the postcard was about Daedalus, not from Daedalus.
Now let's talk about Daedalus. 20 years ago, I always thought they were talking about data list. Okay, like there's so many weird names in this. Like instead of the organization, it's chapter, and Mr. Perkins is a code name as well. Like also the name of the kid's bear. But then like Daedalus. It doesn't even sound like whatever Swedish word this is supposed to be, which is Daed, Daed, Alus. It's a weird sounding name. Did that ever fuck with you, or is that just me?
Oh, I just heard Daedalus. I mean, isn't that Icarus's dad?
Oh, I don't know.
From Greek lore?
Probably. I don't know. I do know that, like, again, the entire time before we meet that dude, they're talking about data, and I'm like, okay, so this whole thing is about some sort of list, probably special agents on it and their covers and where they're stationed and blah blah blah. But then we get to Sam Jackson talking to Brian Cox about the postcard. He's like, oh shit, that's
Right.
data list.
Mhm.
Yo, Sam, he's data list. Blah, blah. And more chaos ensues to the point where Brian Cox gets killed. And then Charlie, Samantha.
Brian Cox goes down, like
tortured.
they chain him to the fucking. That sucked.
It's a pretty intense
Yeah.
scene, the water torture scene, to the point where like Geena Davis and Renny Harlin like had her practice holding her breath underwater in the bathtub for however long she could.
Really?
And then
Kush, I mean, it feels like there's like a slight chance that's like a sex thing.
you know what? Not impossible with those two. Absolutely not impossible. Geena Davis is a wild woman. Renny Harlin's Swedish. Those guys are into weird shit. You know, I would not be surprised.
I'm just gonna say,
some sort of thing.
Kind of turns me on. The absolute wild lady. I'm like, okay, I'm listening.
All right. Well, that's something y'all didn't know about Kai.
Yeah. So. Well, listen. Get to know a podcast.
Cold.
Get to know a podcaster, everybody. That's what's up. Okay, so hold on. We'll just spring it for one of the best moments in the trailer that they had. Brian Cox dead through the water wheel torture. They rebirth Charlie because Samantha dies on the water wheel. Charlie pops back up. What does she do? You thought I was dead? Here I come, and you're like pop. Like that is right in there for Geena Davis. And takes David Morse down. I think hits him in the knee at first, and then he tumbles, and then she shoots him again.
Yeah, she wounds him. She frees herself. They exchange some dialogue, and then she murders him. She is like legit blue purple, dude. Like I have to wonder, like how long did that whole filming scene take? For one, just to get her nearly hypothermic, and two, like
it did look like when they were. It did look like when they. I mean, just as like a filming thing, they have vapor sort of coming off their breath when they're just talking, and it's like. There's a lot of dialogue in there. So you're just like, oh no, you're in this supposedly wet costume doing this. Like, that has to suck so bad.
Yes.
It looks like it's cold.
I think it was probably the hardest scene they filmed, most likely. Like
Jesus Christ. Okay. So right into that.
Speaking about cold and wet, we find Mitch naked in a basement, just shivering.
Yeah,
that's heartbreaking.
But she's there. She's kicking ass. She gets down in there. And here is my favorite part of the movie is that she brings a naked black man to a hotel in Atlantic City, and they probably handed her like a baggage cart, and they didn't ask any questions. Everybody, this is why you want to go to Atlantic City.
He wakes up and he's like, where am I? And she's like, you're in a hotel. And they're like, dataless. He's dead. And they start talking about some more shit. So she goes out to use a payphone, leaving him back at the hotel room. And then a couple guys try to ambush her. And at first it's like, is this an isolated incident or are you assassins? And she's like, go away. Mitch interferes and then almost gets them killed, but then she kills all of them. They then go back to the hotel. And is that where we're treated to not one, but two music videos?
Yeah. I forget the montage. It's a makeup. She's doing the like, oh no, getting into it. And then like Samuel Jackson. Baby. Samuel Jackson is the smaller one where it's like, is he bald or not? It's like, oh no, it doesn't work. That was that. Okay.
They're both good songs. They're both good montages. It's just
I gotta say, like, for as much action as is in this, and then how artfully they sort of dole those things out, like I'm annoyed this wasn't like didn't get kicked up into bigger society. Like this was, as Samuel L. Jackson said, this was ahead of its time. Like that's an awesome piece to put in there.
It's pretty good. They decide that they don't want to work together, but they walk us through this guy. So she tries to seduce him, but what was the purpose of that? He calls her out on it immediately. She's like, I know there's no fucking way you're interested in me. What's going on here?
I don't
like,
know.
She could just steal the car keys if she wanted to. Like, Sam Jackson ain't gonna do shit about it.
It just doesn't seem like her, I mean, personality in it. And then also, is it fucking with him? Is it trying to get a leg up? But I mean, wasn't there a line where they're like, I don't know. It's been a while, so I'm trying to.
That's what she keeps saying, but it's definitely a distraction. Yeah. And again, he calls her out on it. He's like, what are you doing? This is no. There's no way you're interested in my old ass.
Wait,
but then they stop doing it.
He's responding to that one version of her. And it's like, no, the other one, if these are two separate entities, do you know what I mean? Like he's trying to explain away one, like you don't want to do that, but it's like, no, this other one is just wants to F. You know what I mean? Like that's just part of this one.
I honestly don't believe she wanted to fuck him, but I could be wrong on that. Folks, what do you think? Chime in on Twitter at Kush and Kai. Let us know. Did Geena Davis want to fuck Sam Jackson?
Kai says maybe, probably. Anyway, he pairs off of that. He goes like, all right, I don't believe you. And he goes, call your kid. Remember that?
Yeah. Yes. And that dries her up immediately. She's now repelled. She has a drink. By the way, Geena Davis looks like she's a lot of fun to drink with. She's got a little shotgun gimmick that she does. It's fun.
And she
it's a lot of fun.
Also kicks him out of a moving vehicle. Just right at the side.
Not the first time he's been kicked out of a car, because he just lays there for a minute. He lights up a Newport.
I have not. Hold on. I have not. Kush, have you? I'm gonna answer too. Have you ever been kicked out of a moving vehicle?
Not yet, and hopefully never do.
I have not, but that sounds like one of those life moments that you tell people or is written on something about you. Yeah.
It's like Jason Robart said, friends slow down. They even stop. Parented.
You're kicked out of a moving vehicle. But guess what? Hey, I'll pull back around the block if I kicked him out and hops back in. And so then she details the safe deposit box so they can get out of the country, which is kind of a lot and would also be like a hilarious comedy if they fled to another country.
That would be great. Only thing preventing this is the little girl gets kidnapped. I forget how we find out that information, but little girl is kidnapped, and now it's up to Charlie and Mitch to save the day. And as things have been going the entire movie, Kai, shit goes sideways.
Yeah. I mean they set up the skates thing.
The skates thing. Yeah.
They set up that AT&T call center.
No, sir. We jumped ahead, but I think that's okay. The skate scene, by the way, was supposed to be way more choreographed.
Sorry, I'm sorry to like break it up there, but like that call center demanding answers. It was kind of satisfying if somebody showed up to be like, fuck you, I don't care why my cable's out, I'm gonna go beat the shit out of you. Anyway, yes, they kidnap her daughter. They then
raid the compound. They raid the compound, and Mitch is going in on foot with Samantha on the rifle until they're both captured. And Mitch is like, I'll see you in a bit. And Charlie's like, yep, I'll see you in a minute. And we get another huge dramatic moment, followed by some explosions. The freezer box The freezer
Boom.
box, little Cupid doll, some gasoline. It's interesting how they worked all that together.
Yeah. Just the bomb that goes off there. And then a little bit of rough CGI of Tim.
Well,
going
it's very
to the
fortunate
drink.
that there's like a dozen oil drums filled with gasoline right by the freezer. And
It feels like a Bond video game when you're just, they're going to go off. You're going to shoot them as part of a plot mission point. But boom. The kid is trapped in the truck, and then this is going to happen. The bridge does blow up.
The bridge does eventually blow up. But before we get all to that, we find out that not only as the CIA using criminals now, terrorists, to work with their organization, they actually set up the World Trade explosion in 1993, and they're going to redo it again right here on the bridge to Canada.
Wow.
This is pre 9/11. This is 1996. This blew my mind. So they stop the truck. They get the little girl out of the cage, and then there's a huge firefight again with there's a knife fight with Geena Davis and Trevor. He's dumped into the reservoir. You'd think that would kill him, but no, that motherfucker somehow finds a helicopter, and then he starts shooting at them more right on the Canadian border.
Comes right down over it.
Geena Davis somehow does this again. Call back to Cutthroat Island. She wedges up this string of lights, kills our man Trevor. The bomb explodes just as they cross the Canadian border. Meanwhile, CIA agents are shooting at them at the same time. Yeah, and that is the end of a very long Christmas. Yeah, she exclaims to Trevor, "Suck my dick." And it's a very exciting moment.
Yes, everybody from us, Kush and Kai, a hearty suck my dick from Geena Davis to you all.
So we then get the resolution. It's a happy ending. Mitch is now I think he got a full pardon. He's now on Larry King Live talking about stuff. It impresses the wife. It impresses the kid. Geena Davis is living on a goat farm somewhere in who knows what. She gets a phone call from the president saying, "Hey, I'm going to give you an unlimited budget." She's like, "I think I'm just going to be a housewife. I've been concussed too many times."
Where do you think that goat farm was? It didn't look nice. Montana,
probably North Dakota,
Alaska, Canada,
definitely not Alaska.
Iceland. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Could have been
the Netherlands. Anyway, Kush.
We got some IMDb trivia here, buddy. I'm not going to keep it too much.
What do we got? Load it up.
In the first draft, the first draft of the script, Sam Kane was not necessarily an alias, but it was an anagram for amnesiac.
Damn.
In the original script, it was much darker and much more graphic, to the point where Mitch reveals that he did 4 years in jail. Oh, and by the way, he was gang raped repeatedly, to the point that this is why his wife won't let him see his child, because of what happened to him in jail. It's a very weird detail.
Kush,
multiple times.
Kush, what are you talking? His wife was embarrassed that he was gang raped too much, so that's why he wouldn't let him talk to his child. Oh my gosh.
At one point, New Line Cinema, which is still an independent film company, they were going to consider making this a male role, the Sam Kane character, and Steven Seagal or Sylvester Stallone were considered to play the lead. Thankfully, that did not go that way. There is a rapper named Charlie Baltimore who used to be with Notorious B.I.G.'s group. Let's see, we got that. The average shot length in this guy is less than 3 seconds.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yes, sir. Craig Ferguson auditioned for the role of Timothy. I guess that was who I've been calling Trevor the whole time. That would have been fun.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun opportunity.
This movie opened on David Morris's birthday, October 11th, 1996. And in the first draft of the screenplay, That October 11th.
That's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Kai.
Yeah. Well, thank you. From David Morse.
Back in that original dirty, nasty graphic script, Mitch Hennessy dies of his wounds. But test audiences didn't like that, so they reshot that shit.
Oh, good. He's alive now.
I don't have a number for where this ranked, but this was a financial bomb. But the top 5 movies for 1996, 5 going up, Jerry Maguire, which I sometimes call Jerry McGuire. I don't know why I do that. The original Mission Impossible. Now, there's a discrepancy here. It says The Heat and then links to the 2013 Paul Feig comedy, but I have a feeling they're talking about Robert De Niro's Heat, which technically came out December 1995, but its worldwide release was 1996.
Also, vastly different films.
Two
should
different
be
films.
noted. Those are different.
Twister and Independence Day both round out your top 5 for 1996. Kai, this is an amazing movie. I'm glad we finally got to cover it. Is there anything else you got to say about it?
Again, I agree with Samuel L. Jackson. It's ahead of its time. It's just Geena Davis unabashedly being like, screw the kids. I don't care about the schedule. I'm going to shoot some people. I can stab some tomatoes. And you're like, yeah, get some. I appreciated this. And just what it's a great, fun movie. They did a great job here.
This was a stepping stone. This was, there have always been badass females in movies before this, but this actually like set a precedence where like, well, maybe we could actually have one lead the film, from the get-go. And it would set things off for like Charlize Theron and Uma Thurman, Halle Berry. So this was a fantastic film. I'm glad we covered it. Like I said, Kai, next month, Cobra Kai comes out. Cobra Kai season 4 comes out New Year's Eve, dude. Do we want to cover it in January?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, that's Cobra Kai season 4. That's coming out January, kids. Mark your calendars.
Absolutely.
Kai, you want to plug anything?
I was listening to Get to Know a podcaster about Robin Sato, and that was fun. So jump on that because that was cool. Because we've jammed a few times together, but no, I didn't know I didn't know anything. But that was cool. So I recommend that.
There you go. That's actually Microdose 94, folks. That came out a couple weeks ago. So yeah, Get to Know Your Podcaster with Robin Seto. Miss Robin, if you're nasty. As for me, I do a bunch of stuff here. In a couple weeks, check out the season finale of the Kick-Ass Movie Podcast. We're talking about best of the best. Master director Len Kabaczynski, myself, will be taking it from there. And then, as always, friend of the family, Mike Fish, and I, we do the Waffle Box Pod. It's the best part of Wednesdays. You can catch it not only on YouTube, but here on the BosNet.family.
Boom. Rock on, Kush.
Rock on, Kai. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I love you, buddy. Thank you so much. All right.
From the BosNet family.
Fuck that. We're going back.